Joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show, I've never spoken to this man, but I've my entire, I guess, teen and adult life have been waiting to thank him for all the fun moments that he gave me, from the Naked Gun trilogy to Police Squad, which I remember all 6 episodes before ABC, for some reason, decided to cancel it. And, of course, Airplane. The 40th anniversary of the classic film Airplane is being celebrated by a re-release by Fathom Events at select theaters through September 9th, and will be airing at select drive-ins across the country through November. David Zucker, the writer and director, joining me here on the show. How are you, David?
I'm good, and thank you for thanking me.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, I think I need to be thanked because it was a lot of work, and I'm glad someone appreciates it.
Surely you're joking, David.
Oh, I've heard that one before. Thank you, though. Again.
I'm sorry. I just had to go in that direction first.
It was like you probably missed the record of how long it took for anybody to mention that. But I love it.
Well, David, let me start by asking you, Leslie Nielsen, why him? How did he wind up on your radar screen? And thank God for him, David.
Well, Leslie was actually the fourth choice. He was. We had gone to 3 other actors who were more well-known. Vincent Price, I think Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. I mean, nobody remembers these guys now anyways.
Well, no.
But Leslie was the guy who was in the Poseidon Adventure, and we went to our casting director at the time for Paramount after having cast Stack, Bridges, and Graves in a comedy, and he was already, feeling a little weird about that he was going to be responsible for, his name was going to go on this huge bomb, and we said, now we want Leslie Nielsen, and he just exploded. He said, Leslie Nielsen? Leslie Nielsen is the guy you cast the night before, and we were already, we were a month away from principal photography, so we ended up, he got it completely. He told his agent, don't tell these guys, but I pay them to do this movie. So he was perfect. He's a closet comedian, although he had never been in a, quite this kind of zany comedy before. But he was a fish in water.
Well, I met him once, David. He had a whoopee cushion on him, David.
Right, and people ask me, did people have a hard time, keeping a straight face because all the jokes are funny and everything. But the jokes aren't, after you rehearse them a million times, it's not that funny. But people were cracking up over Leslie's whoopee cushion, which he would do right in the middle of somebody's line. And that's what he did, and he did it on talk shows. He was legendary for that.
And I was telling a story before, David, in the segment before Police Squad. It was 6 episodes in 1982.
Right.
Where
he couldn't cancel it fast enough, and that was
why? What happened?
When there were only 3 networks. So it's Tony Thomopoulos at the time was he was the president of ABC, and they were giving him a hard time at a press conference after he canceled it because, a lot of people did like it. And he said Police Squad didn't work because you had to watch it. So it was just, probably maybe not right for TV at the time. I think if it were put on today, it probably would do a little better.
Well, and of course, Lieutenant Frank Drebin was born, and then 3 other films coming out of it. But I do want to linger on Airplane a little bit because obviously Leslie Nielsen is the through line. You mentioned Robert Stack and Peter Graves from Mission Impossible,
right.
And then you got Lloyd Bridges as well. Did you have to twist his arm to sniff glue and hang upside down?
No,
David?
he was game, and Stack was hard to get for the part too. He was skeptical, but once he signed on, he wanted more jokes, and I think Lloyd got used to it also. At the beginning, in the table read and some of the rehearsals, he wanted to change his lines. He was trying to make sense out of his lines, and we were getting a little exasperated. But Stack came in and said, "Lloyd, just keep talking. They're not listening to us anyways. There's going into the wall and watermelons, crashing into a desk behind us. Just keep talking." So he did get it, and I think by Hot Shots, he really was good.
Well, did any of these guys? I guess they understand that some of their work was the joke. Some of their previous work, you were trading off of.
They did understand it, and it's really to their credit that they agreed to make fun of themselves. They all got that that's what they were doing.
David Zucker here on the Rich Eisen Show, writer and director of Airplane. 40 years. I cannot believe it has been that long, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. And then who came up with the idea to cast Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as Peter Graves' co-pilot, David?
Well, you know, that was just a lucky accident because we had originally conceived the idea with Pete Rose, but it was summer and he was either coaching or playing with the Reds, and so he wasn't available. And so we went to Kareem, and we were able to do much more with Kareem because, you know, we did the whole, you know, to the extent that he was controversial, and we had the kid call him on it. And there again, he was sending up his own persona, and I think he, up to that time, Kareem had this image of being, you know, maybe surly and aloof, and but we found him to be just quiet. I mean, he was a perfectly nice fellow, and very, you know, very happy to be doing the movie. But it completely changed his image, and suddenly they saw him. I mean, you know, when you laugh at yourself, it's just such a token of goodwill, really. And so for the rest of his life, he's really been known, you know, a lot for Airplane. Certainly when he told us whenever he travels on a plane, they always want to bring him up to the cockpit and take a picture with him.
And then, again, the Walton and Lanier line, to tell his dad, you know, have them drag their ass up and down the court. Did he ad-lib that, or did you write
it was
that?
everything was written. There was no ad-libbing allowed, you know, in this. But, you know, Jerry and I were, that's my brother, you know, we didn't know that level of detail about basketball, but Jim Abrams, the other part of the triumvirate here, knew it intimately. And so that's one line I know that Jim wrote. Because, you know, he was, you know, very into the whole, you know, controversy, the Lakers, the Bucks, you know, because we were from Milwaukee, and we followed Kareem on the Bucks in 1971.
So that's how Lanier wound up in there. It's a Milwaukee connection.
Yeah. Walton and Lanier. I mean, I guess evidently Kareem played against those guys for 9 years or something.
Yes, indeed.
I still don't know, but yeah.
No, I totally hear you. So Pete Rose was originally supposed to be with Peter Graves.
Pete Rose, and I dug up some old scripts.
Please.
And, oh, my God.
Can you please tell me what?
It was not even a fraction as funny as it was with Kareem.
Do you got any good lines that you wanted Pete to say? Do you got any?
No, I mean, it was just like, I know you. You're Pete Rose. You're the, you know, whatever he played for the
Big Red Machine.
Reds,
yeah, right. Uh-huh.
And that was it, pretty much. And then we, you know, when we got the movie to Paramount, you know, we couldn't get Pete Rose, so we cast Kareem, and then we thought, you know, so far back, I can't remember who thought of the idea, but we thought of, you know, really developing the whole controversy. Or, you know, people accused him of not trying, and et cetera, et cetera.
David Zucker here on the Rich Eisen Show, writer and director of Airplane 40th Anniversary. So, okay, there was no ad-libbing, huh? None?
No, the script was very, well, this was the type of comedy that all came from behind the camera. I mean, it was almost, it's like the Uberization of comedy. We took the skill positions out of it, and so instead of you know, needing Kevin Hart or Jim Carrey or, you know, Bill Murray, Chevy Chase in their day, we just hired straight actors. You know, O.J. was not a comedian either.
Right.
Of course, he came later, but. You know, we just hired all these straight people, and those lines would not have been as funny if they had been said by a comedian.
And then, of course,
so even something as simple, you know, these dumb puns that we did, like "Surely you can't be serious."
Right.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. You know, would not have been funny said by Harvey Korman. I mean, it would have been maybe half as funny.
Well, I mean, and then, of course, you know, another line that has lived on forever is, "I just want to let you know, good luck, we're all counting on you." I mean, and just saying it when everything's over.
Right, and then I even did that in Scary Movie 3.
Right.
Leslie played the president in that, and he comes in and says that line. It's a nice little callback.
And then, I mean, again, it's just, and then the sense of humor where just saying things that are out of touch because the moment's over and you're not aware. The Robert Stack soliloquy talking to Stryker when the plane has already been landed, talking about municipal bonds and
right. We were doing as if Elliot Ness had talked down the plane.
It's just,
and we wrote it over 5 years,
right?
Because we couldn't get anybody to finance it. If you can imagine, we were going to studios saying, we want to do a comedy without comedians, and there's going to be, and we have to direct it, and there's 3 of us. So they said, thank you very much.
And then move on. Look, I know we're talking about David Zucker here on the Rich Eisen Show. I know we're talking about Airplane, but I do have to ask you about The Naked Gun. When I broadcast for NFL Network, I did a game in London with 3 other guys in the booth, Steve Mariucci and Kurt Warner and Michael Irvin. It was a 4-man booth. And the number of times that I got on Twitter and other social media the shot of the booth from The Naked Gun of Mel Allen and Dick Vitale and Dick Enberg and Dr. Joyce Brothers, like that whole booth that you had put together. How did you come up with that idea, and how difficult was it for you to get every single person calling that game?
They started having more and more of these announcers. When there was so many, so we did 9 of them plus Dr. Joyce Brothers. There's always you can always go one step further,
right.
And we always wanted to try stuff, and that was that gag, and it worked. It just worked, and I got to meet Mel Allen and all these guys, and I think Dick Enberg was on it.
That's right.
And Tim McCarver.
That's right.
Was he in that, or he was in basketball?
Well, yeah, they all bleed together. But I just see all those announcers, and then, of course, calling the big moment where Reggie Jackson must kill the Queen. That is truly one of the most fascinating moments in the history of cinema, I will say, involving Mr. October. That was great. And then
and Reggie was great, and I later used him in basketball. So, it was just it was a really great script written by Jerry and Jim and I and Pat Proft.
Well, and again, you have to excuse me. I am fanboying out here because Enrico Palazzo, played by Lieutenant Frank Drebin, played by Leslie Nielsen, undercover to try and foil the plot of the killing of the Queen on behalf of Ricardo Montalban, I might add. The scene, the montage of baseball and sending up baseball was spectacular, and seeing any umpire basically do anything other than call a ball and strike normally, I think of the breakdancing and the moonwalking Enrico Palazzo. That was fantastic, David. Where did that one come from?
It was just a marvelous idea to do a baseball game, and it was just, once we hit on that, and in every movie we figured out what was the love story between the boy and the girl in any movie that we did, and then what is the third act, that final third act, and this was just, the baseball game gave us such a great opportunity to do gags. It's just, we could have done more. We were limited by time, but I'm just so happy that it worked out so well.
And then, of course, I love L.A. being part of that whole montage, right. And that's what the Dodgers play after every win these days in the stadium, where everything obviously was foiled by Enrico Palazzo.
Way before they ever did that, and they. The Dodgers, they were much stricter in those days, as you know.
Okay.
So they wouldn't let us say that it was the Dodgers. That's why we had to use the
Angels.
The Angels and the Mariners. They just didn't want any part of because it may tarnish their image. In those, they didn't allow beers. Nothing. So.
Well, maybe they saw George Kennedy stick all that food down his gullet during that montage, David, and they didn't want it associated with their stadium that it clearly was to all of us sports fans.
And now that I think of it, we wanted to use Vin Scully because he was our favorite of anybody, and the Dodgers wouldn't let us do that.
So Vin would have been next to Dr. Joyce Brothers in Naked Gun?
Been right there. But you know what I've always wanted to do?
What's that?
Now that you mention it, I mean, I've always wanted to do a bit, and I want to do a bit with Vin Scully, and it would be Kirk Gibson's at bat.
Yes.
And just do that at bat, and then have Vin Scully announce it, and just announce it, and then but in between a story that he's telling about Vin and his wife having dinner with Kirk Gibson and his wife, and just some story, and it's over the wall. It's a home run. Well, we'll be seeing you tomorrow night.
You're right.
And just do a not just ignoring the drama of the whole thing.
And
I've always wanted to do that. So.
Oh man, last one for you, David. I literally could do this all day. How did you get Al Michaels and Bob Costas to read that script in basketball?
You know, it turns out everybody wants to be in a movie. So, they all want to be in movies. So, and I think Costas was a fan of the Naked Guns, and so we gave him the script. Well, I don't think he read the script. That's the thing. That's what happened. He thought it was a PG-13 Naked Gun, but it turned out, basketball was a little bit more rude than that. And when he saw it, I think he was appalled. and Costas, we had a joke. I don't think I'd ever do that again. Show anybody something, after a few previews, but. There was one thing where Costas was saying, and everyone is on their feet, and then we panning the stands, and then we get to the wheelchair section, and he says, well, almost everyone.
Oh, my God.
And he said he asked me to take that gag out because, his mother was an invalid and in a wheelchair. So I did, but. But it didn't get a laugh anyways in the preview. But I wish I had kept it in anyways.
Well, at least the part about a certain part of his chest made it. So that's still.
I know, which he was absolutely mortified by that.
Mortified and appalled. That could go up on the marquee.
And we put it. This is how we do it in the movie business. We put the best gags in the trailer. People that come to the theater. And he said, did you have to put it in the trailer? Yeah. And then I think I said, we won't put anything in the movie that doesn't get a laugh. I mean, I say that to any actor. We won't let you bomb. And we test the movies, and we just don't want to hang anybody out there to dry. He evidently interpreted that to mean I will cut out anything you don't like. And I absolutely would not do that. Except for the wheelchair section.
There you go. At least you did that. Hey, David, thanks for the call. I could talk all day, but I parked in a white zone, so
Thank you. Yes. So
which is
they're releasing it all over the country. I think you can go to fathomevents.com, and they're showing it on Netflix, and it's a big re-release.
And you got a basketball league? You're forming a league of basketball?
That's a TV show that I'm pitching.
Okay.
I'm pitching it, and that's in the works. And I want to do a real basketball league with 10 teams in major cities, and do everything every cliche of Major League Sports I want to do in this show.
David, that sounds like a blast. I'd be all in on that for sure. Thanks for the call, and thanks for the laughs. Thanks for the laughs, really.
Okay, anytime.
You got it. Thank you. That's David Zucker. And for those who are wondering, the white zone is for unloading and loading of passengers.
The white zone is for...
Vince Scully and Dr. Joyce Brothers are here. Oh, my God. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.